Walsh Leadership Academy. As we march into the third session, we are getting some incredible feedback on what's happened so far. And now as we move into this next one about teamwork and team leadership, I thought it was important to bring Tom Petz in here today so we can talk about what's happened so far, what's coming up in this session, and maybe some cool developments that have happened over the last few sessions. So Tom, I'm going to, again, I know you've introduced yourself before, but I do a quick introduction again, and then we'll dive right into the next session.
Yeah, I'm Tom Petz. I'm the Chief Operating Officer here at Walsh College and also created the Walsh Leadership Academy as well.
Nice. Love it. So this next session coming up, this one's all about teamwork.
It is.
Making the dream work.
It is.
So what is coming up in this next session?
Well, teamwork is one of those concepts we know from interacting with students that is terrifying to some individuals. You have this vision of either a really good experience where everything was clicking and everybody was working together and you got a really great result out of it, or there's the other side of it, which was terrible.
Felt like a waste of time.
Waste of time. Yeah. You were dragging people across the finish line and all of these other dynamics. So it causes people to fear teamwork to a degree, but as leaders, we know we have to have teams that we're leading. So how do we create teams that people want to be on? How do we create teams that work well, not only with one another, but integrate well with the rest of the organization? So we're going to explore a lot of those different nuances and dynamics in that session.
Which is good, because I think a lot of people, when they hear that it's going to be a session about teamwork, now, even with a catchy title like Making the Dream Work, it still gives this connotation of like, yeah, but like I've done teamwork. I've done those things. So what are some, you've touched on a couple things, but give me a little bit more on what are some of the topics that we're going to be covering in this session?
Yeah, sure. One of the first things that we're going to be talking about in the session is hiring, the hiring process. Because, if you talk to any leader, when they go through the interview process with a lot of people, are we getting the right person? We've looked at them on paper, we've had some time to interact with them, and you're going to be making, in a lot of cases, an educated guess. And then the first day starts and then you realize you made a really good decision or, within a couple of days or weeks, you're going, oh boy, I wish I would have made a different call. And how do you craft a system? How do you craft a process that helps you get it right more often than not? Because in any hiring situation, you're never going to be perfect, but you want to try and give yourself an advantage every single time that you can. And so we're going to be looking at how do we do that process? What are the questions that we should be asking individuals that we want to bring onto our teams? So that's one of the things we're going to be talking about. Then the other thing that we're going to be talking about are some fundamental dynamics of teams. So let's assume that you have a great hiring process and you've got all the right people in the room and your team's still not successful. One of the classic examples, this happens all the time with sports teams. You get people in who are superstars. Calvin Johnson on the Lions, a good example. Hall of Fame player, team was not successful. Well, there were a number of people on some of his teams that were really great players, but how come that team wasn't successful? And, we're seeing that change now with different leadership, right? Comes in, sets a different culture, sets a different tone. But what are those underlying, we'll call them dysfunctions, that prevent talented teams from being successful as well?
Yeah, and that's a really interesting thing to put into perspective, because a lot of times when we talk about teamwork, hiring's not the thing that's on top of mind, but it absolutely comes into play. So that's a great addition into this. And it also leads into some of the newer developments in what's happening with WLA, because again, when it comes into hiring, you think more about the HR side. Mm-hmm. So there has been some really interesting things that happened with the HR side of the WLA, right, where we are now offering all of the WLA classes will now count towards the continuing education credits for SHRM. And how did that come to be?
It was really, we had some people who were SHRM certified, already in our ecosystem. We do a lot of great work with SHRM already and SHRM prep, and we're already connected to that group of individuals. And through some different dialogues, listening to people, we made a connection with them and said, you know what, this is what we're doing. This is how we're doing it. And they gave us a couple of things, make sure that you're getting feedback, which was something that we would do anyway.
Right.
And just giving us the system to do. And it just became a very obvious and easy thing for us to do. So we're excited to be able to offer that as well as the sessions themselves.
Yeah, which is incredible. I mean, and what an offering into the SHRM community to be able to have this option for continuing education. Now, one of the things you talked about was feedback. Now this is coming up in our third session now.
Right.
What kind of feedback have we heard so far on previous sessions?
So very good feedback so far. We asked 2 very simple questions. We know that people are dealing with are all busy. They have things. They don't have time to take a 30-question survey. So we just asked 2 questions, really. What did you think of the session? Rate it on a scale of 1 to 5. And then what feedback do you have for our teams? And then we take that feedback and apply it back into the session. So 5 stars across the board for both sessions so far. The feedback that we have had also from internal staff has been great. It's been interesting because I just offered this session internally to one of our teams who wanted to just have their team work as a team as it was forming. You're trying to set some standards down and get people some principles and practices to help them as they grow as a team as well. Feedback from there was really good too.
Yeah,
so.
And that's something that people don't often think about is sometimes the best time to get involved in making things better is before there's a problem.
Yes.
And so if you could do it from the beginning, I mean, people say it about even therapy, right? Like, don't wait until there's a problem to go and talk to somebody that knows what they're talking about.
Right.
Start now.
Yep.
Start now. So when you talk about, a teamwork situation, you may sit back and go, well, yeah, I have this team and, we're still coming on board. We got to learn each other first. Well, go through somebody that understands how to do that the right way and build a foundation that's already strong.
Right.
So it's a great session. So now let's take this back to somebody who may be joining this session as their very first one. Now we've done a couple, we have some feedback that way, and a lot of those will transfer in. But what should somebody expect from a session like this when they're coming in for the very first one?
Yeah. So, first thing is that anybody who hasn't attended any of the other ones should feel free to sign up for these. Mm-hmm. We have people who come in and out. We have people who sign up for one and they sign up for the rest of them. So we have designed the program so that it's an easy on-ramp for people to pick it up wherever we are in our cadence of how we are offering things. So, there's that part. What was the other part that you asked?
So I think the biggest piece is when people are coming into one of these sessions and it's the very first one they've ever done, they may not have reached out and done professional development before. So when they're coming into this session in particular, there may be this concern right at the beginning where they're like, look, I'm not somebody that's looking for a degree, but I know this is hosted by Walsh College. What is that benefit of doing a program like this hosted by a group of people who also are at the college?
Yeah. So I think what people can expect, and this is what we do, and this is what we've done for over 100 years, is we take the practical and we deliver it very succinctly, very tactically, and give you things that you can take away and use in your own leadership walking out of the session. So, and we try and do it in a way that is going to be very relevant and not doing it in a way that just is continually forcing things down your throat or ideas. We give you space to explore, to think, to reflect. We also do things that we have a lot of fun. Mm. We do a lot of laughing, smiling in the sessions, and we want this to be a really great experience for people so that you walk out of there feeling challenged, but also feeling like that was a really great experience. And I feel good about taking the principles and practices back to my workplace, back to my teams, and putting them into play. Yeah.
And even beyond that, I mean, we're talking about anybody from any industry is going to benefit from this. You don't have to come in and say, oh, I'm from marketing, you're from IT, next person's from accounting. It doesn't matter. We're all going to come in and we're going to have that shared experience and be able to grow from that.
Yeah, we tap into principles and practices that we feel are more timeless and that they cross boundaries of departments and just how people want to operate. I think people want to have a workplace that they look forward to coming to every day. What are the different things that we can do as leaders to kind of set that tone that this is a place where people want to be working and interacting and solving tough challenges and things like that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's exciting. It's exciting stuff. So when is the next session?
It is on April 11th. So we're getting the 411 on April 11th.
Perfect. Awesome. And then how do we get people to sign up?
So all you have to do is go to walshcollege.edu/WLA.
Perfect.
And there is information on the session and a form where you can get connected and signed up.
Perfect. Well, I'm looking forward to this one, and I can't wait to hear about how this one goes and everybody that gets involved and the exciting things they take away.
Yeah.
Awesome.
You.
Thanks, Tom.
Yep.